everyone, welcome back to the Weekly Pop with VR. Today we don't have an episode of my road to 300k, we've got a little bit of a different video here, but firstly, if you want to get in contact with me, you can find me on Twitter at apvanroon, you can find me on Xbox Live or trueachievements.com by my gamertag miserlypluto459, and you can occasionally see me on Twitch at apvr64. As I said, we've got a bit of a different video today. I'm going to discuss one of the things in video games that is on my mind a lot lately, and that's collectibles. It's pretty prevalent these days. What makes a great collectible? It's a pretty tough question to answer, I think. But in the best case scenario, you've got collectibles, something that's fun and engaging to collect, and it enhances the story. Provide achievements. I mean, that's kind of a given. Otherwise, why are we here? But might give you a bit of extra content and enhances the game. You know, some other kind of reward besides just an achievement or trophy. I mean, thank you for those that I have over the years, but it's about more than that. Worst case scenario. And I think there are a lot of games that are guilty of this. They're just there to extend the time that you're playing with the game, stop you from trading your game in, by wasting your time collecting these inane things that don't add anything to the story at any point. The other thing that really irks me is not saving when you pick them up. A lot of games do this, but there are some that don't, and if you pick something up, don't get to a save point and you die, or your power goes out of something and it's gone. I mean, no, that's not cool. I am going to try and only talk about collectibles that I have collected or ones that I happen to know pretty well, but so in that sense you might not see a whole collectible type that you don't like, or you do really like that I might not necessarily have collected. So with that said, let's move into the good collectibles. Let's do the good first, start on a positive note. So there'll probably be no surprise to anyone that BioShock's audio diaries come in here near the top of my list. They serve several purposes besides the achievement or achievements that you get for them. They deliver the story in a really, what I thought was unique, because I hadn't seen it before, a unique way. The audio diaries are really well voice acted. They're fun to collect. You can listen to them while you're doing other things in the game. It doesn't stop you doing what you want to do at the time. They're engaging, and once I'd seen a few of them, I'm like, no, I need all of these. So I really had no other choice. Found a great guide online, and thank you to all the people out there that do make great guides for collectibles. You make my achievement hunting so much easier. But listening to it's a good way to deliver it. It kind of it's different to just having a visual there. I think there was 122 in the first game, and over a 25-hour game, that's about 4 an hour, which isn't all that bad. It really illustrates one of the core things that I think make collectibles, or that can make collectibles great, and that's that they have a purpose other than just being there to be collected. The second type of collectibles that I really like are the ones in Sunset Overdrive. So they're different to the ones in BioShock in that they don't tell any additional part of the story. I don't think you get any cutscenes for collecting them all. But what they do is that they provide you things like amps for your guns, extra damage, modifiers, that kind of stuff. There's a lot of them. There's probably too many of them if we're being quite honest. But the traversal in Sunset Overdrive is what made them really, really fun to collect. I just loved going into the game and just jumping around and wall running and grinding and doing all this stuff. And when they gave me a reason to do more of that, I was like, yeah, thanks, mate. They let you buy maps for each of the different areas, so you could see them on your map, and they weren't such a grind. To get, but yeah, like I said, there's probably a bit too many of them, but they kind of do what Far Cry 3 did well as well. They give you a map to collect them, but Far Cry 3's collectibles just weren't as good because they didn't serve anywhere near as much of a purpose as Sunset Overdrive's. I really just collected Far Cry 3s for the achievements. I didn't read the letters. I didn't really care. We'll go on to the third one here. So Batman Arkham Asylum and the Arkham games just in general. The Riddler trophies in there, man, they're a good collectible. Again, there's probably too many of them, but I think Tarragon would probably disagree with me on that, but there is a lot of them. I think there's 240 in the game that I collected, and it's a lot. But the thing is, they're really fun. They're all unique. They all, apart from the ones that are just standing there, a lot of them you have to solve a puzzle to collect, and it's quite fun to actually, solve the puzzles once you got all your gadgets. But yeah, a lot of fun. They also add in missions between Batman and Riddler. So you've taken one of the strongest, in my opinion, one of the stronger antagonists of the Batman universe. They've given him a really solid side story. And made it really fun to collect the trophies. Not only do you want to collect them because they're fun to collect, but you want to collect them so you can save the next person that the Riddler, has got locked away or whatever he's got them. It pits, Batman's detective intelligence against Riddler, that kind of classic storyline. So, like I said, they do kind of outstay their welcome a touch because their sheer number is quite large. But other than that, they are a lot of fun to collect, and they're collectible done very, very well. Alright, and now we've got our dishonourable mentions, the bad versions of collectibles. Now, just to prove I'm not being biased for the sake of it, I've picked a collectible from one of my favourite games, Dead Island. Now, the Dead Island ID cards, they were bad. There's no map to show you where to get them. So I was just following a video guide the first time I did that. But yeah, nothing on your map when you're traveling around the world. Nothing to show for wasting your time collecting these pieces of garbage. It's a shame because, I love Dead Island. I've mentioned it as one of my underrated games in the weekly pop Road to 300k episodes. But these collectibles are bad. That's all there is to it. You have an achievement to show, which is really just a badge of honor saying, look at this banana who's wasted his time collecting them. There's not really much to say about it. I don't have anything nice to say about those collectibles. Alright, and when we're going to move on to something worse, let's do that too. Alan Wake coffee thermoses. Now, anyone who's played Alan Wake, this will not be a surprise because the coffee thermoses are just garbage. They're the worst type of collectibles. They're, like I said in the intro, they're solely there to be collected and nothing more. They're, at least for the most part, easy to find, but there's a number of them that are quite well hidden or difficult to get. And the absolute worst slap in the face is they do literally nothing to enhance the story. They do nothing in terms of being fun to collect. They literally just sit there waiting to be collected. They're like taunting you. Like, oh, did you miss one? No, you didn't miss one? Are you sure? You better watch that last 30 seconds of the video. You're not sure? Okay, you might as well, yeah, you're going to have to start again if you miss one because there are no stats at all to track whether you have them in certain chapters or anything. So you might as well start your whole bloody game again, and just totally unforgivable. There's 100 of them. There's 100 of them as well. So if you miss one, you got to go through and collect 100 of them again. I have collected all of them, but I was absolutely meticulous on collecting those coffee thermoses. Alan Wake doesn't really have a lot of good collectibles, but the thermoses are just the worst culprits. You get an achievement for collecting 25 of them and one for collecting 100. So, hey, at least you get 2 achievements. But, that red handprint for the slap in the face that you get collecting them really hurts a lot more than the 100 collection achievements. Alright, and we've got Assassin's Creed. I haven't played a whole lot of Assassin's Creed, but in terms of collectibles, I'm not going to name a specific one, but pretty much everything that you have to collect in Assassin's Creed is terrible. So, the holy grail of bad decisions is what I've called it. The holy grail of bad decisions when it comes to collectibles. If the thought of collecting 100 coffee thermoses with nothing to show for your time sounds bad, what about if that number was closer to 300? And it took you longer to collect them. And it was a lot more hidden, and it was a lot less fun than actually collecting the Alan Wake ones. Does that sound appealing? Well, no. And if you're like me, you're probably thinking, Alex, that's a good point. Why didn't the developers ask themselves the very same question? Well, I don't know the answer to that question, but it's a very good question, and one that I wish that more developers would ask themselves before they decide to code these things into the game. Because not only do we waste our times collecting these pieces of rubbish, they waste their time coding them into the game for some unknown reason. If you are coding a game and you say to yourself, is this fun? And you say no, then that's the answer to should you put this in the game. No. And just if we weren't sure, if they're fun, if we're misunderstanding what the intention of fun is, I brought a little dictionary along with me today for this video. So, we've got the Oxford Dictionary there. Let's just have a look at the definition for fun here. So, in relation to amusement or enjoyment, does that sound like collecting in Assassin's Creed? Because it doesn't to me. So, anyway, hopefully the developers from Ubisoft have learned. I think they've started making some moves towards doing the right thing. They've added some stats where you can see have you got them all in the right areas, but still it looks like they forgot to actually make the collection fun. So whoops. Anyway, so that's the bad collectibles done, but one thing I've noticed a trend in games these days is just so many games coming out with collectibles like, oh, we couldn't possibly release a game. Oh, let's not release a game that doesn't have collectibles. That would be blasphemy. It's not. If your collectibles are bad, then you should not have them in your game. It's quite simple. So I struggled to think of a big name title released recently that doesn't really have collectibles in it. I mean, Titanfall 1, but that was a multiplayer only game. I mean, I don't know. I can't think of them. There's, even the big dogs in the yard, Call of Duty and Battlefield 1, they both have collectibles. And I don't really know why, because they're going to sell whether they got collectibles in there, and they don't really add much to the game. It's a bit of a confusing one. Why? Why do they have them in the game? I don't really know for sure. I can only assume that they've tried to add some story in there, but unfortunately failed. Or they're trying to artificially extend your time with the game by collecting these things before you trade your copy in at EB Games or GameStop or wherever you trade it in. They're the only two things I can think of, but it's like people are scared to release a game without collectibles, and I really don't understand why, because if they're not adding anything to your game, they don't need to be there. What I would like to see going forward is collectibles being fun, taking more pages out of Bioshock's book and Rocksteady's book and making them fun to collect. They can be such a great part of a game, but I just see them time after time being done so poorly. Anyway, if there's anything in there that you agree with or disagree with, send me a comment, send me a tweet. You'll see them all on the next screen, the ways to get in contact with me. I hope you enjoyed the video. I will see you next time, guys. See ya.